share with me and get to know me.
Working within it so that you can trust
You got to be able to produce things. And I'll tell you why that production is so important. But before we go there, how do you use those two pieces of equipment?
Success is not necessarily financial, but success is when you feel fulfilled in what you're doing. And then
to other women, they need to know their value, their worth.
But I believe everything that you put your mind to and you achieve, it's success.
Give us all the stuff.
Okay, I'll answer all 16 of those questions right now. I started in the music business at Sony while I was still...
My name is Renee Hastings, and I'm your host of Renee Speaks. Y'all, today's guest is so exciting. She is a certified life coach with a certification from Life Purpose Institute in San Diego, California. She has a Master's of Arts degree in community counseling and has worked as a mental health assessor and therapist. She's the owner of Living Victoriously, LLC, and she recently relocated to Charleston, South Carolina, where she gets to enjoy multiple beaches and great restaurants in Low Country. Y'all, put your hands together for my guest, Jeanette Jones! How are you?
I am great. Thank you, Renee, for having me on this morning. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And the honor truly is all mine, because I know you and I have spoken in the past. And when you talk about your business and living victoriously, I just could not wait to share it with the world, because everybody needs to know. So before we get started, though, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, about how you started your entrepreneurial journey, and help us get to know you.
Okay, I'll give you the short version, because the long version we would be here a while. But the short version is I started out in mental health, and my passion is still with mental health, definitely. And I went back to school for my master's degree in mental health, obtained that. And my goal when I was in school was to become in private practice for mental health. And I worked in the field for like 13, 14 years. And after being in that 2019, I just had this vision that I wanted to be more of a coach, to coach women. So I went to a program at Life Purpose Institute in San Diego, which was a very, very fulfilling program. Certified there. And then all of a sudden, that was 2019, 2020, COVID came. So it was like, okay, what are we doing here? How do I move forward with this and still, work in the mental health field? I was still working in mental health, but I wanted to move forward with life coaching. So everything was kind of, put on hold somewhat, but I was still working behind the scenes, even though, wasn't a lot of person-to-person contact.
Right.
So I came up with a vision. I said, you know what? My life has been basically over time dedicated to my daughter. I was a single parent. So my life was dedicated to my daughter. I did everything for my daughter. It was like no self-care for myself, no vision for myself. I went back to school. I did that for myself. But I just wrote a book called Step-by-Step Walk with God, The Everlasting Anchor. And in this book, I talk about how it's so important for women to think about themselves, to make themselves a priority, because a lot of times we make everybody else a priority. I say we just do, and do for other people. And we put ourselves on the back end. And that's where I was. And I wanted to create this life coaching business to help women to make themselves a priority and to let them know that they are important. We have a life too.
That's right. We are people. Moms are people too.
Exactly. We need to get a song. Moms are people too.
Right? You know how they're saying kids are people too.
Yeah, and moms are people too, but nobody seems to realize that. It's like, okay, mom's the taxi cab driver, she's the cook. My daughter used to call me the waitress. Her and her little friend, they would come over and call me the waitress, and I would just, serve them. So it was all about her. It's like vacation time, Disney, this and that. When she got older, we were able to go other places, but everything was about her. And I know I'm not the only mother or woman that puts everybody else before themselves and put themselves to the back. And, you never fulfill your own dreams. Even it may be going back to school. It may be taking dance lessons. It could be anything. But we kind of like, oh, I'll give my daughter dance lessons, but I won't do any. I'll do this for the kids. I'll take them to basketball practice and, football, but I won't do anything for myself. And I'll take care of the husbands, the boyfriends, this and that. I'll serve them, but I don't serve myself. And we need to start serving ourselves.
That's right. That's right. And it's not selfish. It is not selfish because some women, when they think about putting themselves first, whether they're moms or not, if they're married or even if they're, dating someone or whatever, it's okay. I think we need to develop a culture that says it's okay for you to have the things that you want to, and for you to take care of yourself too. So as you serve all these other people, don't leave yourself out.
Exactly.
Serve yourself as well, because self-care is the most critical care. Because how are you going to care for all these other people and I'll do all these other things if you haven't taken care of yourself?
Exactly. As they say, how can you serve someone if your cup is empty? How can you overflow to someone else? You can't. And then you'll find yourself getting frustrated. You got attitude, you're feeling overwhelmed, and you're wondering where these feelings are coming from. They're coming from because you didn't draw boundaries and you just kept doing and doing and doing.
Yeah, exactly. And so it is that no woman needs to feel guilt or shame for wanting to put herself first, even over her children. So I know that those could be fighting words to somebody.
It will be for some people, but I'm at the point, Renee, where I'm like, okay, this is the last half of my life here. I'm going to worry about what is it that Jeanette really wants to do. And I want other women to come along on this journey with me and say, okay, we deserve this self-care. We deserve to take a vacation. We deserve to go back to school. We deserve to do whatever it is that we are happy with.
That's right. That's right. Of course, when your children are small and they depend on you and they, can't live without you, literally, that's different.
Exactly.
But once they get, up some size and they get, independent and they're able to be okay with a babysitter, or something, or someone else caring for them so that you can take some time for yourself, it is okay. Be okay with saying it's okay.
And I feel that even when they're younger, we need to carve in some space for ourselves, because it'll just, even if it's a little bit of space, you need to carve something in for yourself, because if you don't carve anything in at all, it's going to be harder the older they get, because they're so used to you. Okay, mom this, mom that, mom.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. So true. I'm so glad you made that point, that even if they're little, still take some time for yourself. And hearing you say that reminded me, because I was a single mom too. And so I know what that's like too. And I had 2 boys. And so I'm working my full-time day job, and I come, go to work 7:30 in the morning, after getting them up and breakfast and ready for school and all of that. Then I head on off and I go to work, and I come back home and 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening, picking them up from daycare and get home. And then it's time to feed them. And so, but I still haven't unwound from the day, right?
Right.
So one thing that I used to do as a young single mom of 2 boys is, as soon as the 3 of us walked through the door, I had like a scarf that I put on. And this was my mommy scarf. And when the boys saw that mommy had her scarf on, that meant that they couldn't talk to her. They couldn't be hanging on to her. They had to be playing with each other in their room until mommy's scarf came off.
I love that.
And mommy's
I love
scarf,
that.
it only stayed on for like 15 minutes, but still to little
Right.
ones, that can seem like an eternity, right?
Exactly.
So I tried to have mercy. But that gave me my 15 minutes to change hats, basically is what I called it. Change hats from my working self to my mommy self.
That's awesome. I love that idea. That's great. Somebody's going to be able to use that nugget right there.
I hope so. That's the whole purpose of this show, is to share some tips and tricks on how to do it. And sometimes it seems like we're doing it all because we are.
Yeah, basically we are.
And so, but you can do it. That's the thing. And I love how you said the words, take some time for yourself, even when they're little. And if you need to go get you a scarf and tell the children what it means, and they need to be obedient. And if they are good and they give you your me time for those 15 minutes, then maybe they get a little, extra hug or extra kisses or, an extra scoop of ice cream for dessert or whatever that might look like, because it should be the norm. It should be expected, not expected that they get a reward every time they do well. But you know how to manage that as a mom, that you do good because you're just supposed to. Exactly. Not because you're going to get a reward in the end.
Exactly.
Let's be clear about that.
Right. Don't want to reward them every time.
Right. Yeah. Well, this is just what you do because I said so. No.
Right.
My mom voice is coming out.
Oh yeah, it's a task being a mom, and it's definitely a single mom. It's a lot.
It absolutely is. Absolutely is. And then as you're, on this journey, so say your children are, at whatever stage they are, it's still important to prioritize yourself. And that's kind of what we started out talking about. And you alluded a little bit to why it's important to prioritize yourself. But can you dive a little bit deeper into that, the importance of prioritizing yourself?
Yes, the self-care part of yourself. In life, you go on different journeys and you have different experiences. And one thing I've learned, Renee, is self-love. Once you love yourself, you can gain all the confidence you want through self-love, but you have to first love yourself. Right. And loving yourself looks like, okay, self-care. How do I care for myself? What is it? Again, what are some things that I love to do? What makes me happy? What things, gives me purpose, gives me passion? What are my things that gives me passion? Those are the things that, people wonder sometimes, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? But what gives you passion? What makes you tick? What makes you smile? What makes you giggle? What makes you happy? And everything every day is not going to make you happy, but those things inside, just the thing of it is to love yourself. And sometimes people are like, well, what does that really mean to love yourself? And we could go in a lot of directions with that, because loving yourself may look like, okay, I need to take some time in meditation, just to meditate for 30 minutes a day, just that time to clear my mind. Great. It may look like I need to go to the spa to just get myself a massage, facial, whatever that is for myself, just some downtime, and even if you're going to get your nails or whatever done, I don't try to include the nail thing because that's more on, to me, the fashion side.
Well, that's just a part of life. Right. That's part of the routine.
Exactly. That's just like the hair, the nails, that's just kind of normal stuff. But when you take the massages, the meditation, you're getting a little deeper there with yourself, and I am getting ready to do a retreat in Costa Rica for women. And the theme is self-love, so that we can love on ourselves. And we're going to have some healing, some inner healing, some more self-awareness, so that people can become to know who they really are inside. Because I think a lot of times, Renee, we're walking around and we're busy, doing, whether it's business, whether it's working for ourselves or someone else. And we really don't know who we are.
That's right. We get lost. Yeah. We get lost in all of the things, all of the work and the children and the marriage and the house and the laundry and the shopping, and we get lost.
And we identify ourselves with those things.
Exactly. That becomes our identity. Like you said, those things are not our identity. And the sooner we realize that, the better off we're going to be. And I love how you said, we have to figure out what is it that makes us tick without our children, without our husbands, without our house, without our stuff that we are, without our jobs.
Right.
Who am I? Who are we at the core? And sometimes you have to step away to figure that out. And that reminded me of my my own personal journey of relocating to Atlanta from Wisconsin. And when I came initially, it was without my children. And it was the first time I had been by myself ever. I went straight from my mom to my husband to being a mom. And so I always was something to somebody else. It was the first time I got to be by myself. Wow. And as I sat there and I was reflecting, I'm like, oh my word, I have no husband. I have no kids. I have nothing but a job that relocated me here. And I don't know anybody here. So I was like literally by myself for the very first time. I was 28 when this happened. Wow. And so I had to take a moment and say, who am I? Like, honestly, who am I? What do I like to do? Right. And so I sat and I thought, and I was like, well, when I was younger, I remember being really happy when I was with my grandpa, and he took me to this place that had a pool table. And we were shooting pool together. And that was so fun. But do you know how long it took me to get there to remember that thought? It took a long time. And so I finally said, okay, well, maybe that still makes me happy. Let me see. And so I actually joined a pool league that was local to the area. I didn't, like I said, I didn't know anybody, but there was a team that had an opening and they let me join them. Now, mind you, I have not shot pool in forever. And now I'm on a league. Right. And so anyways, I got to know people, allowed them into my space and let them get to know me a little bit. They taught me a whole lot about the game of pool. And I realized I really do like to shoot pool. That's one of my things.
Look at that. Isn't that something you thought of that happened a long time ago?
Super long time ago. I mean, I was literally like in the single digits age. Like I was super little. And I remember this still brings me joy. So sometimes as we're, on so busy in our lives, we have to take the time to stop and think about who are you? Who are you at the core? What makes you happy? And I'm so excited about your retreat that you're going to host to give women, and I hope you get so many entrepreneurs in your session, so that they can see for themselves, bring back to their memories the things that made them happy before all of the entrepreneurial journey started. Yeah.
And similar story to yours was when my daughter moved out, I talk about this in the book. I don't know what I was. She would come over and I would start crying, and, just seeing her would make me cry. But then I started to think, like you said, I always liked dancing. I put her in dancing, but I didn't do any myself. So I started taking Chicago step and dance lessons.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah. And I had the best time because for that hour or whatever we were dancing, nothing was on my mind but, okay, am I on count?
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or is it 1, 2, 3?
So for an hour, I'm just counting.
That's awesome. And that's another thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just counting. So.
That's right. And that's another thing I discovered that I like too is dancing. And so I didn't take a formal class or anything, but I love music. I love dancing. I love art. There's so much to me that I had never taken the time to think about or prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful for you and your company putting together these self-care retreats to give women an opportunity to reflect on who they are and how they can prioritize themselves and take care of themselves, because it is so critically important to them, not only realizing who they are, but developing that self-confidence, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
once you understand and know who you are, you develop self-confidence, and this self-confidence helps you to love better.
Yes. Yes.
Do you agree?
Yeah, exactly. It will help you to love yourself and other people much better.
That's right. That's
Much
right. So, in your definition, Jeanette, how would you describe self-confidence?
Confidence to me is just an assurance of knowing I am who I am, whether people like me or not.
That's right.
Because sometimes people worry about who like me. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter because I'm confident on who I am.
That's right.
So, it
Right.
has nothing to do with other people. But I'm confident when I walk in that room, when the room is crowded with people, I'm confident. I can talk to people. I can tell them who I am, what services
Mhm.
I offer. And I'm
Mhm.
not, shrinking back to say, okay, is anybody going to talk to me? No, I'm going to talk to you.
That's right. And then make the first move.
Right, right. But, confidence will let you do that. If you're confident and sure of who you are, and that gets back to knowing who you are.
Right. Because you are perfectly and wonderfully made.
Exactly.
And the
Exactly.
sooner you realize that, the easier it will be for you to walk into that room and to walk in your purpose with with everything that's in you that is so unique to you, and embrace it.
Right.
Not shrink back from it, but
No.
embrace it.
Not at all. Not at all. And I've created a curriculum, a coaching program, Renee, for women who for living victoriously, women who wants to live victoriously. And we start out with the 6 pillars of supportive relationships, because you need
Mm.
supportive relationships.
Yes, that's so true.
Because otherwise, how can you really live victoriously without supportive relationships? I mean, you need that support.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because iron sharpens iron.
Right. Exactly.
And I love that. I absolutely love that. Our life is not meant to be lived alone.
Right.
We are made for community. And within that community, we can build one another up, encourage one another, and be that empowering force for good for one another.
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
have to have it. It is so critical as women, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as people. That's just how we're made. We're
Yes.
not meant to be on an island only doing things. I know we were forced to in 2020 to be by ourselves.
Yeah.
That was not normal.
No, and it was not good.
And it was not good.
Not for people like me who are, social. I'm just a social creature. I love contact with people. I love talking to people. That wasn't good for me.
No, yeah, it was definitely not. And so that's, I think, how a lot of the online platforms and social media to develop a sense of community came about, even because there were so many people who realized I can't be in this house by myself 24/7 trying to do life. I need people. So that's when a lot of groups just kind of exploded, because people were searching and looking for that community. And it's because it's so critical.
Yes. And the other areas that we hit on, I'll just go over them briefly, is optimal health, because we have to have that health, whether it's physical, mental, that health is important to live victoriously. Without your health, I've heard somebody say, without your health, you have, there's nothing. You have nothing without your health. And self-awareness and spirituality. We tap a little bit into, just mindfulness, the meditation, being more self-aware. And also wealth and abundance. How do you obtain wealth and abundance, and what does that look like? And one thing we go over is, how do you think about money? Where did your idea about money come from?
Right. Right. And that's important to know too, in order, because everyone's got a future, and how we deal with that question is going to have a lot to do with the kind of future we're going to have.
Exactly. And what were we told as a child about money? You know, there's a lot of sayings people give you when you're younger about money, you know. It could be negative and it could be positive. So we talk a little bit about that, and also life purpose. You know, what do you have a life purpose? Are we called to have a life purpose, or do we just roam around aimlessly? So we, talk about that. And also a victorious life balance. How do you balance all this out? What's, creating boundaries, and how do you balance all of this, to become victorious? How do you balance all of this at this point when sometimes, you have kids, and sometimes, you may be an empty nester, but how do you balance everything out?
Right. Because sometimes after you become an empty nester is when you get even busier. Because people think, oh, well, your kids are gone. Certainly you have time for brunch, or certainly you have time for this meeting, or certainly you have time to be on my podcast, and certainly you have time to write this book, and certainly you've got, you know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of certainlys people are assuming.
Yes, I'm much, much busier now than I was with my daughter. My daughter, I would go to work, come home, do things with her. So that was just kind of like a schedule. But now, because, people are calling you here, calling you there, this and that, I'm kind of all over the place. I got vacations here, retreats here, going to check out retreat venues for my ladies. So yeah, much, much busier.
Yes, absolutely. So I can definitely relate. And I know that we're just winding down for our Renee Speaks portion of our segment of this program. And so before we have to leave here, can you tell us a little bit? I know that you shared that your future looks like retreats and retreat planning, and the next one coming in Costa Rica. Has a date been set for that yet?
Yes, it's October.
Is there a link or a website we can go to and get more information?
Yes, on my Facebook page is an ad, and I also have a travel group. They can find me, Jeanette Jones, on my Facebook page, and I'll let you in. But it's going to be on my website. We just have it this weekend. That will be up on the website, and you can register for that. But it's October the 14th through the 21st.
October 14th through the 21st.
Yes. And I'm looking so forward to this, because I just want my women to know that they're loved. They're loved, and I'm going to introduce my book too. Like I said, my step-by-step walk with God. We'll talk a little bit about that. But just to have a seminar on them, just loving themselves.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So amazing. Yeah. And I know that the women are going to be truly, truly, truly blessed. So all the listeners and folks in the audience who within the sound of our voice, sign up. Yes. Take care of yourself. It is so critically important to do that.
And my website is JeanetteJonesLifeCoach.com.
Awesome.
They can sign up there for the retreat and also the Live Life Victoriously coaching program.
Perfect. Well, we certainly don't want anyone to miss out on those opportunities. But Jeanette, before we go, I want to share some super exciting news with you.
Okay.
We've got even more amazing content for you to check out over on Renee Speaks Golden Nuggets. So starting in June, all of our audience listeners can catch exclusive content from this program every Tuesday at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern on 100 TV Network. On 100 TV Network, it'll be chock full of extra interview questions, behind-the-scenes stories, and all kinds of inspiration and empowerment to keep you going throughout the week. So be sure to mark your calendars.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Jeanette, we're going to go grab a cup of coffee and a couple of donuts in the green room, and then head on over to Renee Speaks Golden Nuggets on 100 TV Network. And I hope every single listener will join us there as well. So Jeanette, it's been great having you on Renee Speaks. Let's go have some coffee.
All right. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
To learn things.
It's like a multi-million-dollar business
of your journey.
Moments in time we can make an impact. One
a little bit better.
When it comes to launching, feel fulfilled
everything that is
You were made for something great. So go and be awesome.